Indianola is a rather famous ghost town in the state of Texas. It's a town that lays on the coast of the state in the Matagorda Bay, and it started in August of 1846. It's said to have almost had immediately a rivalry with the nearby town of Port Lavaca, which back then was just called Lavaca. According to the Texas State Historical Association Handbook, the town was started by two men named Sam Addison White and William M. Cook. Just 2 years prior, in 1844, a stretch of beach near the point had been selected by Prince of Braunfels as the landing place of immigrants bound for West Texas. The area was briefly referred as Karlshafen, and the first house was built in 1845 by a man named Johann Schwartz. During the Mexican War, Indianola, still referred to as Indian Point back then, was firmly established as a deep water port. In 1846, Anglo landowners came into the area and started selling plots of land. The first post office opened in 1847, which for that time period or any town is a really big point in being officially recognized as an official town. In 1845, it's said that thousands of Germans were stranded at Indianola because their agents had gone broke. Disease claimed many lives of those on shore, and those that tried to walk to New Braunfels or Fredericksburg ended up infecting their destinations. Those that couldn't make the distance settled in the nearby towns of Victoria, Cuero, and Gonzales. Allegedly, the town had experimented with canning beef in 1848, their first exports traveling to eastern markets in 1868. The town incorporated in 1853, and it was originally the county seat of Calhoun County. Many currents of the main stream of Texas history flow in this one-time port. Pineda explored the coast in 1519, and La Salle planted a settlement here in 1685. Once an Indian trading point, it was a minor seaport from 1844 to 1875. Texas colonists, including Germans led by Prince Karl of Solms-Braunfels, entered through Indianola. Indianola has had a bad history with hurricanes, almost like as if it's a town that's not supposed to be, or at least, be large. In 1851, a storm hit the town, and it was called the Great Storm. During the Civil War, there were Union Army soldiers that occupied the town. Indianola was a port to rival other places such as New Orleans. There were ships that came to the port all the way from New York and England, bringing by cargoes of ice. From here, I'll show one of the historical markers that has some information about Indianola. You can pause right here if you want to read it. I'm just going to take a few minutes to let it show. And yes, there are absolutely camels brought to Texas through Indianola. There's a historical marker about this topic, which says, a newspaper called the Indianola Bulletin had correspondents as far as Wilson County, which is right outside of San Antonio. In 1867, a fire damaged the town and yellow fever came. It stated that in 1875, the first major hurricane hit the town with around 150 to 300 people estimated to have been the fatalities. The debris from the town was used to rebuild the city stronger, but in 1886, another storm came around and apparently demoralized the citizens. These people moved inland to nearby towns such as Victoria, Cuero, Edna, and Gonzales, with some of the original structures still standing today in these towns. Apparently, there was a large ice house in Indianola, and it floated across the bay somewhere, being converted into a house. I don't think this building still stands today, though. Even though the people of the town could have rebuilt, once again, apparently the bay was too shallow for the ships of major importance. Initially, there was supposed to be a railroad that would have connected Indianola to San Antonio. But the hurricanes discouraged investors, and they decided to go to Galveston as the railroad port. But then there was a hurricane in Galveston, and so shipping traffic was then sent to Houston. After the hurricane of 1886, the county seat of Calhoun County was then moved to Port Lavaca, which is about 30 minutes away or so from Indianola. On October 4th, 1887, the post office was permanently closed and the town declared dead. Allegedly, most of the site of the city is now underwater due to storm erosion. Indianola was, of course, one of the areas hit by Hurricane Harvey in 2017. While there was some soil erosion, there doesn't seem to have been significant damage to what was left of the town. Though unincorporated and a ghost town, Indianola is still lived in today. It's adjacent to Magnolia Beach, which attracts visitors from the local areas to fish and hang out.